the future that we all need to achieve. And therefore, as we share our views and recommendations from yourselves, please remember that we need to come up with a system that will enable us achieve the future that we want. A future where there is no poverty, a future where there is quality health, a future where nobody goes hungry, a future where everybody is safe and proud to belong to the community that we all belong to. We need a future to be able to achieve that. We need to craft a strategy of increasing the wealth of our community and our country, of adding value. Knowledge, we need to utilize technology, and therefore it is extremely important for us, very important, that we listen to each other attentively, that we share ideas, because that way we are crafting our future, the future of our country. To produce the human capacity that we need to transform our young people to individuals that will transform this country, we all need to participate. The teachers play a major role. Quality teachers. Communities, all of us play a major role. Parents play a major role. And that is why it is very necessary and very important to ensure that all of us as a society are empowered and play a role in education. It is not only teachers, but it's all of us. And the reason is because really holistic education is not just mathematics, mwalimu, o Kiswahili peke yake. Holistic education has to have values, inculcating values and morals and ethics into our learning. It is ensuring that we have the role of the community. Community service learning is extremely important. You cannot impart values without ensuring that the parents and the community are playing a role. And therefore we need a system that empowers parents, a system that ensures that parents are able to engage with the young people as the teachers teach skills and knowledge and identify competencies and capacities and talents. Then the rest of us also have to be there, standing next to the teacher to ensure that we have appropriate values inculcated in our young people. I would like to urge all of us, please look at Article 10 of our Constitution. It talks about our national values. Look at Article 11 of our Constitution. It says that we are who we are because of our culture. And our culture captures matters of knowledge, indigenous knowledge, science, technology, and so on. But most important, it is how we relate to each other, how we respect each other. And therefore, this occasion is very unique. Really, we must thank His Excellency the President for commissioning this team. And we were commissioned we were gazetted on 29th of September. We were commissioned, I think, 17th of October. And we sat down and we said, the only way to proceed effectively, so that whatever recommendation we come up with, recommendations are owned by all of us, is that we must visit all the 47 counties. And therefore we divided ourselves into 10 groups, 10 teams. And the team which is here, chaired by Daktari, has already visited 2 other counties. I was in Turkana, I went to Elgeyo Marakwet, I went to Kakamega, now I am here, I will be in Narok and so on, just to ensure that the teams are functioning and they are working. But it's not them working, it is all of us. So please, feel free to engage. Should you not have sufficient time, you are also free to write your memoranda. Give us ideas. Wisdom is shared amongst all of us. And you can do that until 18th of this month. We will be able to receive all the memoranda and ideas and recommendations that you may wish to share with us. I'm delighted to be with you today. I thank God that it's beautiful climate. One of the things I've noticed here, Governor, although I haven't checked, is at least as a county, you have covered, I don't know what percent, but I'm sure it's more than 10% tree cover. Would I be right? Can you imagine? We are almost 20% tree cover. So Bomet is moving forward. Can you give a clap to Bomet? But 20% is not enough, Governor. Let's move forward and reach 30%. God bless all of you. Asante sana.
Asante sana. Makofi nyingine ya Profesa Munavu. Thank you, thank you. So we'll be having your written memoranda. Our email address is secretariat@educationreforms.go.ke. You will be doing your written memoranda, ideas and recommendations. Our email again is secretariat@educationreforms.go.ke. You can also hand deliver your written memoranda at Nairobi, if you be in Nairobi, at Absa Plaza. That's where our secretariat is. So once again, secretariat@educationreforms.go.ke. Hand deliver you a copy as well if you will be in Nairobi at Absa Plaza, 9th floor. It will be received all the way to 18th this month, the year 2022. Imefikia wakati sasa wa receive your views, your ideas, your recommendations, your opinions, your feelings. And allow me to start with His Excellency, the Governor, Professor Gov.Barchok, to come and make his presentation, the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms na wananchi kwa jumla. Karibu, Professor.
Thank you. the chairperson, Presidential Working Party on Education Reform, Professor Raphael Munafu, the chairman of this team 6, Dr. Kithinji, and all the members, our county commissioner, representatives from the Ministry of Education, our principals and members of public, our students, good morning. Hamjambo. Nataka kwanza kuchukua nafasi hii kushukuru Mwenyezi Mungu has given us a good morning kama county ya Bomet. Tukuje tushirikiane pamoja na jopo hili ambalo limechaguliwa na His Excellency the President kuangalia mambo ya masomo Kenya hii yetu. So on behalf of the county government of Bomet, on behalf of all the residents of Bomet, chairman na all the committees, tunasema karibu. Pia niko na furaha kwa sababu nimeona wananchi pia wamekuja, and we expect more to join us so that they can give their opinions, their views kulingana na ile kazi ambayo iko mbele yetu, mambo yetu ya masomo. Niko na shukrani pia kwa sababu nimepata nafasi ili nichangie pia. Ngawa nimesimama kama gavana wa Bomet, pia nimesimama kama mwananchi wa Kenya, na pia nimesimama kama msomi, a specialist in curriculum development. Na on Friday, I had an opportunity to interact with the committee led by Dr. Kithinji, na tuliongea tu kwa ufupi. Kuna mambo mengi and I don't think nitaongea hiyo mengi hapa, but if I get an opportunity, Chairman, perhaps we can meet with the technical persons within that committee so that we can discuss some few things. Yeah, because I don't want to make a very academic presentation before the public, but there are issues that I feel that we need a deeper discussions so that at least tuweke msingi iliyo bora kwa masomo yetu. I think we have a role kama professionals, kama walimu, kama specialists in our respective areas, kuchangia ile tunaonelea ni mzuri so that we have a strong foundation. Otherwise, ningependa kupongeza rais kwa sababu alionelea ni vizuri kuweka hii kamati ambayo inasunguka collecting views from the public so that we make informed decision regarding our CPC and education sector in general. Of course, what perhaps informed the decision is the complaints that we've been receiving from the public. There is a lot that we've been seeing in social media that relates to CPC and other matters touching on education. And I want to believe that is part of the reason why we have this committee. Curriculum making process is a political process. Iko na siasa yake. And ndio maana all of us want to own the process. Watu wakiketi na wafikirie mambo na wafanye mambo yao, tomorrow you'll have people disowning the process. And I'm happy that we've been given opportunity kama Kenyans so that tomorrow when decisions are made, hatutasema hatukuhusishwa. And that is why it is very important for all of us that we make our presentation. And I'm happy that we've been given assurance that our opinions will be respected. Hakuna mtu atatoka hapa na kesi. Whatever you feel and whatever you think should be presented to this committee. Even if it is not making sense to some of us, it is still welcome. I think that's the assurance you've been given. Tuongee tu na ile lugha unaelewa. I think we have enough interpreters. Ongea Kikisi, ongea Kijaluo, because we have all those people in Bomet, sindio? Ongea Kikale, bora ujumbe ifikie nani? Hawa wanakamati. Thank you very much. I want to talk briefly on this issue. Na nimesema kuna mambo mengine I will reserve for the technical committee. But I just want to mention some few things. Since independence, tumekuwa na a number of commissions, working parties, task force, ambao wamechakuliwa kuangalia mambo ya masomo. There are quite a number, and I'm very sure those of us who train as teachers, this is part of what we discuss in our lectures. The first one, of course, is the Omindo Commission of 1964. Sitaki kuongea mambo mengi kuhusiana na hiyo. We have the Kachati report of 1976. We have the Mackay report of 1981, which led to establishment of the 844 system of education. We also have the Kamunge report of 1988. We have the Koech report of 1999. But what I want to mention as relates to all these commissions, they are recurring themes. Every time we have a commission, there are issues that we normally mention. And I want to summarize some of those themes that are recurring in all these commissions. The first one is on national unity. The second one is on economic development. The other one is on mutual social responsibility. The other issue, also very important, is on issues of access, relevance, and quality of education. We also have education for self-fulfillment and self-development. We have also issues revolving around financing of education. We also have issues emanating from all these commissions touching on lifelong learning, and generally issues touching on planning and management of education. The other thing that I want to underscore, and this is very important, and I have a reason why I'm mentioning that, is that the goals of education have almost remained the same, with some addition. One, we want to foster nationalism, patriotism, and promote national unity. That is number one. Number two, want to promote social, economic, technological, and industrial needs for our national development. The other one is to promote individual development and self-fulfillment. The other one is promote sound moral and religious values. Then the other one is promote social equity and responsibility. promote respect for and development of Kenya's rich and varied culture. 7, promote international consciousness and foster positive attitudes towards other nations. And lastly, promote positive attitudes towards good health and environmental protection. I'm happy that Provost noted that our tree cover is good. So to some extent, I think we have achieved, and that one was done through sensitization and education. So you clap for us. Chairman, the big question that we should be asking ourselves, even as we move around and we discuss about these issues on education, I've mentioned issues that have been recurring. I've also mentioned that our educational goals have always remained the same. Now, the big question is, where have we failed? Because even as we discuss, when you go through the mandate, even touching the report on Professor Odhiambo report, the same issues, apart from changes in terms of the language that we are using, it is the same issue. So the question is, where is the problem? I think that should be the question, because if you have an objective that you don't achieve today, tomorrow you put up a commission to look at that, the reasons, you come up with recommendations, you implement. After a while, you still go back, you have not achieved the same, and the objective remains the same. You have another commission to inquire into the same thing, then where is the problem? I think that should be the question. And the reason why I'm saying this, if you go back to the 844 system of education and analyze the rationale of the 844 system, and even analyze in the relationship with the rationale why we think CPC is a good curriculum for us as a country, there is a lot of parallel in terms of what we want to achieve. Of course, under the 844 system, the philosophy was education for self-reliance. We wanted to equip the learner with skills and competencies. So the issue of competency is not new. It has been there all along. So that every stage of education becomes terminal, and the learner would be able at least to be self-employed, do something for himself or herself. But why did it fail? Why did we come back and complain about the same curriculum that we thought would be a solution to our problems? And that is why I'm going back to the first question, where is the problem? Is it the curriculum? Is it the implementation? Is it the society? Is it the teachers? Is it the political will from the government? Is it the issue of resources? I think we should find the root cause of the problem that is bedeviling our education system in Kenya. Otherwise, if we are not careful, then we will only be treating symptoms, but not the underlying issues affecting us as a country. Of course, we have had a number of reviews, and I want to just mention something small on the 844 system of education. And I think as part of my contribution, Chairman, is just to underline some few findings that I think either they were ignored or they were not given the necessary attention. We reviewed our curriculum, the 844 in 1992. 95, 2002, and even we had a summative evaluation of the curriculum in 1999. I saw it as one of the mandates that we have for this commission is to carry out summative evaluation of CPC. Maybe it's too early to have summative evaluation. It's too early to have summative because the CPC has not gone full cycle. So maybe just the normal process of evaluation will apply, but not summative because the cycle is not complete. Now, out of these reviews and evaluation, the summative evaluation of 1999, there is something that was mentioned about the 844 curriculum. Apart from what we all know, the main reason why we think 844 failed is because it was not supported. That is the first thing. It was not well resourced. And that's why when you move all over the primary schools, we have workshops that were not complete, equipment were not given to those workshops, and the curriculum ended up being theoretical as opposed to being practical so that we can equip the learners with the competencies that we required. Now, the other thing that I want to mention, Chairman, and I think this is very important, this finding, this in KICD report. The report says the curriculum content addressed issues on nationalism, patriotism, and national unity. But the social context, this is very important, but the social context impeded the inculcation of these values. Prof, there's something that you mentioned here. And I think part of the problem that we have is not the curriculum that we have in place. It may not be on the structure. I will mention something on the structure, but the structure may not be a problem, Prof. So one of the reasons why I think we are failing is the social context where this curriculum is implemented. When it is not supported by the social context, we may not achieve much. Of course, I've mentioned that we have all those other reports. Now, moving away from the 844, now we have jumped into the CPC. And we think that CPC will be a solution to all these challenges that we have. In the 844 system, it is being accused that it was examination oriented, and then the learners were forced to cram as opposed to learning. Now we are saying in the new system, of course, the learners will not sit per se to those examinations where they are expected to cram, but we want to inculcate and develop competencies, and some of them have been identified on communication and collaboration, on self-efficacy, critical thinking and problem solving, creativity and imagination, citizenship, digital literacy, and learning to learn. Very interesting, the last one is was my PhD research. And I think Prof still remembers. Yes. Now, there are 4 features that distinguishes this curriculum we call CPC from the traditional curriculum that we understand. One is, of course, what we always know and what we have been told, that it focuses on outcomes. That's good. It also reduces emphasis on time-based training So we normally say learning is static, but time is variable. And then the last one that I want to mention is it is learner-centered. Those are the three features that distinguishes DPC from the rest. Now the question is, Prof, and I think we may not answer it here, but we'll answer it when we meet with the technical people, is the curriculum that we have in Kenya, CPC. Is it CPC? Based on those three features, the answer is no. We don't have CPC curriculum in Kenya. Because one, apart from what we have documented and what we are telling people that it is outcome-based, it is just the old curriculum, but with some elements where we have given prominence to the development of competencies. Otherwise, what we have in place is not CPC. Reason is, if it was CPC, I've mentioned that in CPC, learning is fixed, but time is variable. So there is no way Professor Barchok will develop competencies at the same rate with Professor Munavu. And there is no way you will promote Professor Munavu and Barchok at the same time, because they are unique people. So Munavu may take 1 week to develop competencies. Barchok may take 1 year to develop the same. So this aspect where we are promoting learners in cohorts defeats what we are describing as CPC. And that's why I'm saying, even as we debate, please let us understand that we don't have CPC curriculum in Kenya. It's something different. It's only the old curriculum, but emphasis have been given to issues of development of competencies. It is learner-centered, meaning, I will also mention it somewhere in my presentation why and what we expect when we talk of learner-centered. But what I want to say is we don't have CPC in Kenya. The other reason now is to ask ourselves, was the change justified in the first place? Is there any valid justification why we moved from 844 to the 26333 system? The change in the structure. There are 5 questions that I want us to ask ourselves. And the reason why I want to do that is now to deal with the issue of the structure that we have in place. Why and how can we implement what we have? Is it in this structure of 2, or we go back to the 844 and implement the same? So any justification for the change of structure so that we can develop these competencies. Can we develop competencies by, can competencies by development can be affected by the nature of structure or the nature of the system that you have in place? The first question that we should be asking ourselves so that we qualify the changes in the structure is what was the need for reforming the curriculum? That should be the first question. What was the need for the reforming of the curriculum? Now, and I want to go back to the question. There's a very valid question that was raised by this committee of Professor Otiambo. That is the Kenya education system and its institutions and programs fit for the purpose? And we are asking ourselves, what was the need for reforming the curriculum? That's the first question. And what informed the shift from 844 curriculum to CPC? Of course, we have mentioned all sorts of weaknesses that we have in the curriculum. And what we are imagining is that the new system, the new curriculum that has been put in place will be a solution to these problems. But I've mentioned, and I want to repeat here, that when you actually compare the intentions of the two systems of education, there is a lot of relationship. And one very important area is the empowerment of the learner. And for this to happen, of course, we require adequate resources, human and material. 844 was also demanding to some extent in terms of the materials that were required. How sure are we, even with the demands, the complaints that we have been having from the public, that the same challenge that when 844 underwent will not affect this new system? Are we committed in terms of resources to ensure that it succeeds? It is very important to note that the failure, and this is my own opinion, the failure of 844 system is not inherent in the structure itself, but had more to do with how the content was implemented. The idea was noble. And I'm a product of the 844 system, and I'm a proud product of that 844 system. So I'm not saying that we should not change, but I'm saying the idea was noble. So there is a parallel relationship between what we are proposing to achieve in this new system and the old one. And it is resource demanding, just like in the previous one. Secondly, the second question that I want us to answer before we go back to the structure and justify, was there a proper foundation put in place for the new curriculum? Was there a proper foundation put in place for the new curriculum? And when we talk of that proper foundation, the foundation includes both the legal, theoretical, as well as policy and legal framework. Somebody by the name Frank gave 3 criteria for evaluating education reform. One is on the sufficiency or adequacy of theoretical framework that is used, and then the supporting policy, and then there's another one, I'm forgetting, it's escaping my mind. What is it? There are 3 areas. Daktari seem to be whispering something. Oh, so what we are asking is, did we have that proper foundation? And the answer is no. So how we moved from 844 to 26333 system, we might not have put a proper foundation for that. And the reason why, Chairman, I'm saying that we will not be here today, 6 years down the line. It is too early to have a very elaborate discussion. Of course, it is a normal practice to have reviews every 5 years, but it should not be a major one like the one that we have. When you look at your mandate, it is a massive mandate, cutting across and touching all the pillars of education in this country. So, and the reason why we have that problem is because we didn't crown these changes in the proper way. Legal, for example, the sessional paper, as much as we are talking of 2015, it came in place in 2019, 2 years after implementation of the curriculum. Yet this is a policy paper that was supposed to guide the process. And even some of the proposals that were given by the committee in Parliament, and Panatalu is here, I have former MP, Bomet Central, they were never taken it seriously. They were ignored. And that is why we are in this problem today. If you go to the report, I think that was published somewhere, released somewhere in August 2019. There are issues that were identified by that committee, and they were ignored. The other one that I want to mention, especially on the theory, and I think this one I will deal with the technical committee. There are issues also. It looks like we didn't understand properly, and I think this one I will blame the experts, because they were supposed to be the ones guiding the process. But when you see, and this is related to the third question that I want to ask, did the experts involved in the curriculum development process fully conceptualize the philosophies and theories underlying CPC model? They didn't. And that is why they are cheating us that we have CPC curriculum in Kenya. Even the ones who are training our teachers, they don't understand what they are training. They will tell you that they are teaching what they don't understand. You question them and they say, hata mimi nimepewa, napeana kama vile nimepewa. And that's why we are in a lot of problems, Bwana Chairman. And we thank God that this committee is now in place so that we can correct some of these messes. CPC is not a very simple model. And even what we think that we reorient teachers for 3 days, that cannot happen, because it is a totally different thing, and we need a paradigm shift in the way we understand education. And I will go back to that issue of 844 fail because of the social context. So if we can really conceptualize and understand, then probably some of these issues that have been recurring will be resolved once and for all. Of course, we'll keep updating ourselves in terms of curriculum with new developments in the world, the changes in technology, and so forth, because knowledge keeps changing daily. But we'll not have issues that we can handle recurring every time we have a commission in place. And lastly, did all the prescribed steps in development of curriculum, were they followed? And can these steps be validated? The question is no. I think I've mentioned that, and that is why we have been having all these complaints. And Bwana Chairman, I'm sorry to say, I've taken time. And if there is one person who has been very keen and following what has been happening with our curriculum all the way from 2017, that it is the person standing before you. I started complaining all along. In fact, I reached out even to the committee that was then dealing with this issue in 2017. One of them happened to have been my supervisor, Professor To. So I talked to him severally, complaining, let me see this document, let me see that. Not because I wanted to get anything out of that, but to ensure that we have the right and proper curriculum in place in this country. Because if we fail, and it fails in my time, then the future generation will not forgive me. Because taxes have been spent in me to train me, and that is why I'm calling myself a curriculum expert prof. So I have to justify that. I have to give back to the society, not in terms of money, but to ensure that whatever is done in my line of training is done correctly. And that has been my prayer all along. And that's why I'm saying there are issues. Go to the report that was used, and a report that is informing this curriculum, the needs analysis. Prof, I will tell you that report is horrible, the way it was designed, the theory behind that, the questions that were said, because people did not understand the concept of CBC. We are even asking questions that should have been answered by the theory. Prof, although this one will go to the technical committee, For example, each of these committees, I've categorized all the committees, commissions, and their theoretical based on their TORs and major recommendations, the theory that was supposed to be used. For example, in CPC, we have 4 curriculum perspectives, and I didn't see any, and I have not seen any, any of our documentations. That shows there's something wrong. We have 4 curriculum perspectives: rationalist, empiricist, pragmatist, and extensionalist. I think this is familiar with the teachers. And each of these has something to tell us about the learners, the teacher, the methodology, and the nature of the curriculum. This was supposed to give us the foundation. Now, when you come to CPC, I will just mention 2 that are relevant. Pragmatist, about the learner. They say the learner is supposed to experience knowledge. 2, about the teacher. Is just a project director, not doing directly. Then 3, about the method that is supposed to be used is inquiry, participation, problem solving. That's what we are trying to sell. Is it? Curriculum, problem solving, hypothetical, subject to change. And that's why we say we are not the same. Problems, project. And then the other one that is relevant is extensionalist. The learner is the chooser, search for personal identity. And then the teacher is the facilitator of choices. We are not choosing for the learners. And then inquiry, discovery, that is the method to be used. Subject matter of choice, not reach it. You see, so those 2 are relevant. You don't see anywhere. Yet now when we go to the needs analysis, we want to find out from the 190 the methods that will be used in implementing CPC, yet it is very clear if they are taken it seriously, it will be informed by theory. There are things that I didn't expect to see in that needs analysis. So there is something that went wrong. You go to the basic education curriculum framework. Even the way we are describing what is expected, the learning outcomes. For early years education, I would not expect to see critical thinking, but you will see critical thinking. It is number 4, objective number 4 or number 5. Go to that report. So that shows there is something wrong. There is something seriously wrong. And then lastly is a big question that we are asking ourselves. Is the country ready for implementation of CBC based on teachers' preparedness, based on the resources and other curriculum support materials? And I'm very sure, although I don't want to speak on their behalf, the answer is no. And there are reasons for that, which I don't want to give. I think we are all familiar, the complaints that we have been having. And especially, I think social media has been so much enriching. I watched one that was very interesting, where learners had been requested to carry live chickens to school to slaughter. And then, of course, the teachers, as teachers now, was to do assessment to see whether they know how to cook. And you know how we do it. Unfortunately, the learners, after beheading the chicken, they were told they were supposed to put in hot water so that they can remove the fetus. So unfortunately, after slaughtering and removing the head, beheading, then before the chicken was dead, the learner took it and threw it into the boiling water. Of course, the chicken jumped out of the sufuria and started running around without the head. And that is where I came to understood this is why people sometimes say you are running around like a beheaded chicken. And that is what we are describing as CPC, Prof. And those are the demands. I also received, I saw somebody from Transmara, and I think it did some round in social media, complaining that the child was told to bring a skin to school. Did you see that in social media? And he was beseeching the former CS, Matiangi, to remove, for the sake of him and others, CPC. So that shows we have a challenge when it comes to our resources and the burden that is going to the parents in terms of the demands that we need to support this curriculum in terms of the learning materials. And then, of course, I don't want to go back to the teachers' preparedness. I've said CPC is a new concept, even the way we do assessment. You know, that will be a topic that will take us 1 semester to learn, because we are moving away from the traditional way of doing assessment. And Prof, I'm sorry to say this, even what we are doing currently, we do assessment and then upload the results to the NEC website. Do we have a framework? Because this assessment is not just assessment for the sake. Others will be doing the same thing that we have been doing before. This assessment is supposed to be part of learning. I've not seen a framework where these teachers are supported, they have uploaded, the results come back to us with some framework informing how we are supposed to adjust and ensure that the needs of that learner are met. There's nothing like that. The result just goes, and once you say send, it is sent forever. It has never come back to us as teachers, so that we can make informed decisions and adjust accordingly. Because in CPC, assessment is a very key pillar. It is informing us, and that's why I'm saying our teachers are not prepared for the same because of that. There are some, even designing the curriculum. You know, designing a CPC curriculum is not the way that we design the normal curriculum. We use what we call backward design for CPC. For the traditional one, we will use forward design. So that becomes a problem, because when you ask our teachers, do they understand the forward and the backward design, they will tell you the difference is the same. Now, and then finally now, what is my recommendation on the strike here, Prof? I would say, personally, because what we have, and this is my own opinion, and this is where now I'm saying you will respect my opinion. You may not agree with your opinion, but this is my own opinion. I've not given all the literature, but I have a convincing reason why I think we should not go the way, the direction that we have taken as a country. It's never too late to change course and arrive at our destination safely. Si ni kweli? Kiendesha meli, uone haisipaki mbele, usiseme tu bora meli inaenda, because utakonga hiyo ama mwamba, and then we have a wreckage, ndio? So it is time that we change the course, and personally, I think it would have been better for us to review and check the weaknesses within the 844 system and correct. And beyond correcting the weaknesses, let us bring now the aspects of the competencies that we want to develop into the 844 system. And I want to say, if we want to succeed, the only way we will succeed under 844 is to change what we want to assess. What do you want to assess at the end of the 4 years, at the end of the 8 years, is what will be given attention by the teachers. So I'm proposing that we have an hybrid, but within the 844 structure. Let us have an hybrid within the 844 structure. Because moving and going, and I remember saying in 2020, in one of the stations, that let us wait for 2023 and you will see the chaos that will be in this country, in this education sector. And that you can already predict, see the confusion, especially where we are saying, do we domicile junior in primary, or do we transit them to secondary school? Where do we domicile? We don't have facilities, as much as we injected around 8 billion, but how many classrooms have been constructed in our schools? We have been having challenge with 100% transition under the 844 system. Now, when you have double transition, that will be chaos. And the principal can make. In fact, you should not even demolish these tents. Once we move over, find a way of modifying them so that you can accommodate learners. If we are transiting 2 groups to secondary school next year. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, personally, I think it would have been good. We have an hybrid model. That's what I'm proposing. So let us not change the structure, but let us bring the aspects of competency, education within the current curriculum. After all, what we are implementing is not CBC. So let us borrow what we want from CBC and maintain our own curriculum, but you'll still achieve the same. And I'm saying it is not too late, because after all, I think unknown to the public, the mathematics that we have been teaching is the same mathematics. The English that we have been teaching is the same English. The sciences that we have been teaching is the same. The only thing that we have been singing is competencies, and people will want to think that you are no longer teaching mathematics. We are teaching the same thing. The only thing is we need to change the style of teaching so that we can now develop the competencies. We need to change the style of assessment now so that we give prominence to what we want to achieve in our education system. And the structure will not affect that. It will not affect. The structure will not affect. So, of course, there are other decisions that we need to make as technical people, and I don't want to mention them here. But I want just to say, let us retain and have an hybrid kind of system. Then impact of CPC on access, equity, relevance, and quality. I don't want to go through that story, but it has affected access. There are groups that have been disadvantaged, especially the rural and those one in hassle areas. We are giving prominence to use of computers, which are not available. So you are denying people opportunities. Equity, not fair, in terms of distribution of resources and so forth. There are groups that are disadvantaged, especially the poor. Now, you are asking them to bring materials, support curriculum, and so forth. Relevance is not only about the content. It is also about how you deliver that content, the implementation aspect of it, which I think has a problem. And then quality, I don't want to go into that. And then finally, Chair, I just want to make general suggestions and recommendations on the way forward. Not in any order, but cutting across a number of issues. Some of them have been captured in your mandate. And I think the last mandate gave you room to even divert to other areas that were not captured within the mandate that you've been given as a committee. And then the other one is, one, of course, based on my presentation, need to clearly and explicitly articulate educational theory or theories that guide curriculum reform. And I've justified the reason. One, it will inform even the methods, how we analyze, how we understand the problem. The solution to that problem will be informed by. Otherwise, we will not be having the message that we've witnessed even in that. And how this program, the CPC. Number two, need to enrich the social context, effective curriculum implementation, explain with the aim of developing the call of responsibility and important for Chairman. And I think you've been asking why we have a lot of complaints. When you look at when you study and analyze our value system, we have an issue. And in all these commissions that we've been discussing and given these assignments to look at our education, we have been having issues. We have a lot of complaints from our villages and so forth. Now, I think it is also high time that we understand that as a society, it is not the responsibility of the teacher alone. It is not the responsibility of the government alone to ensure that our learners are educated. And when I say educated, it is a very comprehensive term touching a number of areas. So we have a responsibility kama mzazi, and that is where now the issue of parents' engagement and empowerment and the community service learning comes in. So we have a responsibility. And I think to some extent, we have abdicated that responsibility as a society. So we need a lot of sensitization so that each and every one of us plays a role. And that is the social context that we want to enrich. The only thing that we require, Prof, is to have a framework for doing that. I think currently this thing of teachers doing, the parents doing the assignment was not the intention. Yeah? So, and Prof, I would also want to say there are aspects of our culture that are positive. And these are some, and the Constitution recognizes that. Those are the aspects of culture that we want to bring out and encourage, because it is part of developing that value. For us to develop that values that we want, we need a very strong cultural system. And there is no way we can achieve that unless you, kama mzazi, support. We have a number of agents within the community, including the religious organizations that we have, and other organizations that normally actually mend us, molding us in different aspects that we have within the community. So we need a very clear framework that needs to be developed. Otherwise, the direction that we took with the CPC, I think, is the wrong one. And we are likely to go back to the same challenge, and that is a lot of complaints because the way we perceive the social context kidogo tulipotea. And then number 3, need to expand the resource base beyond the government sources to fill up hosting caps, utilizing the available resources more efficiently, costing the education system in its totality, establishing autonomous funding system, strategizing the allocations of funds, and providing incentives for quality improvement in all components of education. So government, I think we have issues. So I think it is high time that we partner even with the private sector. And as counties, for example, if we have an investor in education, somebody wants to construct a school, I think it is high time that we rethink some of the demands that we normally make. And even if we can secure land and put a caveat so that once I give you land, it will only be used for education purposes, the better, so that we expand the facilities that we have in place. So we are ready as counties, and I'm ready to champion that so that we have people investing in education to support the government so that we relieve the stress that we have. And then the other one that I want to mention is the quota system, especially in basic education cycle, should be rationalized with a view of encouraging students from different parts of the country to learn together. Personally, I discourage that. Let the learner go to Northeastern, interact with other learners. But the issue of saying the learner should stay around home, as I live in Bomet, I in the Bomet primary, I in the Bomet secondary, I in the Bomet university, and to come back to work in Bomet County. I think there's a problem there. And I think part of the issues, we make good decisions, and then we go back on the same. And that is why we keep having recurring issues. Every time we have a commission, it is the same issue. We find a solution, we put in place, tomorrow we put policies that waters down the decision and the informed decision that was made because it was empirical in some way. So quota system, and I'm happy with the delocalization. As much as we may not be comfortable, the only thing, Prof, is when you localize 2 years to your retirement, it may not be a comfortable thing to do. But I think the first initial posting, it should not be posted to your home. Lakini ukiendelea kuzeeka, rudisha mzee nyumbani. Angalie mali yake as he prepares or she prepares for retirement. But the initial posting should be outside your home area. And then the other one, The program used in the past to address social problems and inculcate social values and ethics, e.g. through social ethics education or religious education, need to be reformulated. It's noted that the previous programs are focused mainly on formal teaching in basic education institutions, rendering it to be academic. A practical approach needs to be used in those subjects where you don't teach religious education. Sometimes when you talk of compassion, let them go to hospital, interact, have a report on the same, make it practical. And somebody who is passionate about this should be the one teaching those subjects. And then the PPI programs that we have in our schools should be having a standardized curriculum. I think, I'm also a pastor, but I think it should not be a session of preaching. Pastors will not agree with that. I will not also agree with that. Given an opportunity, I want to preach and have conference. But I think we should have a standardized curriculum across. That will not only apply to Christians, but it will also apply to Muslims. What are the value systems that we want to put in place as a country? Out of that, develop a curriculum so that anyone teaching Muslim students anywhere, anyone teaching Christian students anywhere will have a standard curriculum that will drive home the values that we want to inculcate in our learners. This will support the teaching of the religious, religious education or Islamic education or the Hindu education in our school. Let us have a standardized curriculum for those programs so that it can support the PPRs, pastoral program, call it what, instruction. And then, of course, we need to intensify the capacity building for our teachers. I don't want to belabor on that. And then developing infrastructure in all the areas so that we don't disadvantage any group. And then need to make education affordable for the average Kenyan parent. Government must ensure that all schools have equal access to resources and technology needed. All schools should be provided with adequate physical facilities, teaching learning resources and equipment to enhance quality learning so that no one is left out. That will be my proposal. And then need to improve the working environment and safety of teachers, especially those working in hostile areas. Appropriate steps should be taken to boost the morale and commitment of teachers by giving them suitable terms of service. Quality of education is affected by the morale of the teachers. You have a demoralized teacher, and you can be very sure they will not give you the best. So I think those welfare of the teacher needs to be looked into. There have been complaints that a lot of work has been to do with reporting other than the actual teaching in class. So that to some extent affects the morale of the teacher. So safety of the teacher, especially in the northern part of the country, has also been an issue. And that is why even when they have adverts, they attract very few teachers going to the northern part of the country. So the issue of safety of the teachers, we need to see how we can secure our schools so that our teachers are safe. Can they be put in as one compound where they are hired, we give them security 24/7? Those are some of the things that we need to think about so that we don't also disadvantage our learners in those areas. Then the other one is need to enhance the capacity of quality assurance department by giving them sufficient resources to move around and supervise and monitor curriculum implementation. Quality assurance systems have also become ineffective due to inadequacy of resources. The capacity of the officers should also be enhanced through improved selection mechanism, training, and effective monitoring. Effective monitoring mechanism of curriculum ensures that the set objectives are being achieved in a sustained manner. So I think this is a department that has been neglected. They don't have even vehicles to move around. Sometimes they write to my office and requesting for vehicles so that they can go to schools to check. So I think we need to find a proper way of resourcing these quality assurance officers so that they can move around. And we need to add a number good number of them. And then finally, people who have been problematic in classrooms sometimes are the ones given promoted to be quasos. And I think the way of selection is a problem. Let us give the best teachers, because you don't want to exceed somebody because he has been a problem in some school. So I think that is an area. The criteria for choosing these people should be very clear. And then the other one is the fights that we have also between the TSC and the Ministry of Education. I think there have been conflicting issues, and I think we need to harmonize. We see whether there's a problem in the Basic Education Act and the TSC Act, so that we harmonize, so that we remove those conflicting roles. Then promotion based on merit and experience, very important. The other one is need to put in place a clear framework on how national assessment feedback will assist the classroom teacher to improve on the teaching learning. I think I had mentioned that. Then the other one is need to have a more active collaboration mechanism between industry and training institutions be put in place to ensure relevance of technical training. In addition, mechanism for research utilization be established. I think we have a lot of good research that have been coming out from our institution, but they are never implemented. So we need to have a very close partnership between the universities, our technical institutes, and the industry, so that we ensure relevance in terms of the curriculum, the needs of the market. At the same time, whatever we churned out in terms of research is also implemented and taken to ensure that we benefit as a community. And then need to sensitize the media and have a framework to enhance the role of the media in respect of public role models and opinion leaders in promoting positive attributes that seek to promote national consciousness. And that is one area that we can use to enrich the social context. I think that's one area that we've not been doing very well. What is bad news, make good news for the media. So can we bring out the best? We say somebody, I saw the other day, somebody surrendering a title deed in Baringo after realizing that the land that had been sold to him was actually a government land. So some of those things, it brings out some consciousness in us. And then the other one is need to rationalize capitation for learners with special needs. And last week I was in one of my special schools within the county, and one of the complaints that I received is that they are given equal amount, irrespective of the disability that they have. Equipment for visually impaired learners are very expensive. So we should not give the same capitation to a visually impaired student and physically impaired challenge. So I think the capitation that comes from the government should be separate. Because Kalamu niliambia is 100,000 for visually impaired. 100,000, which is not the same thing with one who is physically challenged. So that capitation, we need to look at that. Then need to have a very clear framework for identification of gifted and exceptional learners in basic education. Need to reverse the policy on placement of government-sponsored students into private universities. I think that's a clear way of killing the government university, government. So please, if somebody wants to study in a private university, they should apply to that university and be admitted to that university. So, but government-sponsored students should be posted to government institutions. Yeah. So as much as we want to support the private sector, but it's the investment, we give them other incentives, but let us not give them students. Otherwise, we'll kill all these universities. Okay, need to have TSC, this is another one, take over remuneration and management of ECT teachers. The county government should be left in charge of nutrition and infrastructure for ECD. After all, Teacher Service Commission are registering these teachers. So let them take and give them money. We have not even been given money to pay these teachers. And that is why there's a lot of disparities in terms of remuneration of these teachers. So for harmony and for coordination of teachers, all of them should be under Teacher Service Commission. And then we'll take care of the nutrition aspect of the learner and the infrastructure. And even the learning materials, we don't have a problem with that. Then need to enhance and promote development of clubs and societies in schools, as a way of promoting collaboration and cooperation of learners in the course of carrying out clubs or clubs activities. I think this is one way of also enriching that social context. Like if we have 4K club, I think it will change our perception and attitude about agriculture and so forth. And we resource those activities so that the learners become very active. And then the public universities and the Commission on University Education review the expansion of the academic programs offered in various universities in order to minimize duplication and to maximize on resources at the level of education and training. They should also liaise with regulatory bodies to avoid instances of rejection of degrees awarded because of failing to conform to the standards set for the respective professions. And then finally, entrepreneurial skills be taught to all university students regardless, and not just even the mid-level colleges, regardless of the field of study, in order to inspire them to create employment for self and others. And that special fund be established for graduates with necessary skills, and even innovation centers can be put in different counties where we incubate ideas, and if we see it is something that is fundable, we fund or sell it to an industry. So thank you very much for listening to that very long lecture. I think I've missed teaching. That's why.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I think you should give more university a very big clap. This is what we produced. Hey, this is what we produced, Your Excellency. Asante sana. I was a little constrained. One, a friend. Two, my governor. I love three,